Let's see if this works. I'm out walking Mr. Bentley on our street, actually. Behind me is Thunder Mountain, Sedona. Eagle Rock is behind these poplars, behind those poplars. Airport is just behind me, up there. Spiritual ego is the worst. Ego is pretty shitty all over, but spiritual ego is the worst because it hides the best. And it's the most righteous and prideful and all that, right? And I don't mean just with spirit, but any ideology. You know, like I think it's Mark Twain who says, God save us from idealists or ideologues, you know. We get hooked on some idea, some ism, some thingism, and we think we start defending it or fighting people with it, physically or emotionally or mentally or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Let's turn around, B. Let's go home. It'll be perfect. He's just slow walker lately, which is good. So the spiritual ego is the worst. Come on, B. Bentley. Come. And they get old and they get stubborn. Come on, B, let's go. So we basically, the ego, it stops humanity. It stops human touch. It stops dialogue. It judges the other. It's the way the ego gets to project its shitola, its blame on the other. It's well known in spiritual mystery schools. The other. Toltecs say it, a good adversary is a gift from the universe. If you're willing to see what they trigger in you. But if you're not, then your ego will make them the scapegoat, right? So this happens. Now we're going to walk the other way because the wind is too much here for you guys. That'll be better. Yeah, so it gets very prideful. If you trigger someone's belief systems, then the ego will find anything it can. If you threaten their belief systems or their reality, it's the mob, the pitchforks, and the torches time, you know? And they don't care. They'd rather kill you because you're threatening their ego. They killed Jesus instead of the rapist murderer Barabbas. This guy's raping your young daughters and murdering you on the highways and byways. But you'd rather shout to crucify Jesus because why? Because he's upsetting the matrix. He's upsetting the status quo. And so he's much more hated. So this is how and then when we think we know something, right? We think we've learned something, right? Then we project it on the other. They don't know as much as I do, and you get to feel prideful, righteous. Some teachings they've said that's the most noxious smell you can come up with in God's nostrils. Pride. You know. Pride that is the stinkiest thing in the universe's nostrils, the Creator's nostrils. Maybe so. So, and this happens in all manner, every arena, obviously politically and so forth. And right now we're pushing the divide and conquer space. The divide people by ideas or ideologies is super rampant. And I mean, that's kind of the main thing right now. Whether it's politics or religion or, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter. So, but the spiritual ego will break up your relationships, your love. And like, this is why dogs, for instance, because they don't have an ego that way about belief systems. Come on, B, let's go. Let's go. They create common ground beautifully, or anyone else. beyond belief systems, they create common ground. A couple of years ago, I was sitting in my front yard, and one of my neighbors right along the street, Joy, had a friend visiting who was been through hell recently and dying on the bathroom floor and her body shutting down, just stuff. And she had a real wake-up call, but she realized liberty and freedom. But the way that showed up for her politically was libertarianism, you know. And then I have a beautiful neighbor down the street who, as liberal as they come, and they were both over our house one day, right? And Joy's friend started saying, going to rag on Obama's corruption or lies about wars and drone killings and so forth. And I said, I could tell her going into that subject. Very strange. I just set off a car alarm. I have no idea. That makes sense though lately. No one touched the car. And so I immediately ran in the house and got my guitar and said, hey, let's sing a song in honor of spring. Because her and the neighbor, the super liberal, they would have created some bad mojo between them, right? So I sang some song about spring and the flowers, because it was springtime. And I don't always do that. I'll let people fight it out. That's fine. I don't care. But I didn't feel like it that morning. But, so spiritual ego is really noxious. It's like you're kind of righteous and it's Pharisee territory. It's what was that guy that started the Christian University in America? Jerry Falwell. Everyone could feel it, just a holier-than-thou crapola. And that's what I mean by I say love is greater than truth. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So spiritual ego is the most unfunny thing going, the least enjoyable thing, I would suggest. Not very much fun at all. Come on now, Bentley. Now we're upsetting a little doggy over here. She gets out sometimes. Bentley's licking where she's probably gone pee, because that's what male dogs do, and then he's got to cover it. Come on, Bee. Let's go. Let's leave her alone. Good boy. Come on. Let's go. So spiritual ego, you'll start. It's like when you subtly judge everything and everyone around you. They're unconscious. It doesn't mean you lose your discernment. Like I can discern my liberal friend, my over-liberal friend, or my over-rightist friend. Hello, my own mother. Right? And it doesn't mean you lose discernment. It just, you can choose to engage or not engage. But your spiritual ego will be tested all along the way, because someone will trigger you with their, quote, stupidity or their myopicness or their unwillingness or how they take sides, or they're very righteous about how they're right and Trump should go to hell and be secretly happy if he's assassinated, or Obama, such a slick CIA creation with his drone killings and starting 7 wars and so forth, and Guantanamo Bay and all that crap. So you become very righteous. And then in spiritual circles, right at the top of the street, right here, one morning in my innocent heart, I'm walking, and we had just been over to the Buddhist stupa. I don't want to put you in a stupor by all this spinning around. Right below Thunder Mountain is Amitabha Stupa, a real Buddhist stupa. No jokes about stupid, please. Stupid stupas. No. Anyway, and so I saw these 2 Buddhists up at the end of the street, in their robes, the maroon and gold, orange, saffron robe, and chatted with them. We had a good time. And that morning we went to breakfast, and there was a couple there talking about how they're here to visit the Buddhist retreat center and all that. And we were like, oh yeah, I just met, and it was really fun, and everyone was having a good time. And then I said, yeah, I just met a couple of the monks up there, and and then they got really serious. Like they went from really loose, on vacation, doing spiritual retreat, happy, loving, to their face shut down, and they go, "Come here, B." Oh, we're not those kind of Buddhists, right? And I was like, wow. Shocked my little heart again. So spiritual pride will happen in every circle, I don't care if you're Buddhist, Hindu, yogis, yoga teachers, our school is better than you. What would it be like if we didn't do that? And it's a really good observance process. Observing holidays, observing yourself, your own holy days. I'm going to observe my own holy inside all the time. Where does my spiritual pride and arrogance and subtle pride and looking down on and I know better than you and look how unconscious they are and all that. It's a really good practice to find your own spiritual ego arrogance. It's really kind of very, very humbling. Come on, B, you old man. He's walking really slow. His shoulders hurt a little bit. So, anyway, spiritual ego is sort of the most insidious, the last thing to go. And it's all the way along. That's why I would suggest real masters end up turning to be really humble. And then some people try to fake that humility, and that's even more noxious, right? And but so that's one of the last veils, if you will. One of the last veils to go through back into, and every master points towards it, right? Every master. Come on, B, let's go. Jesus says very clearly, unless you become as little children, here at my neighbor's house, you hear the kids playing. They just put in a pool for the kids. It's really beautiful. He was just showing it to me today. Unless you become as little children, you will not enter the kingdom of non-duality. Pride is one of the last ones. I used to work with a group where we would classify human emotions or energies, not just into tamas or sattva or rajas like the Hindu thing does, but we called it ag flap. And at the bottom was the A. A was for apathy, sloth. G was for greed, a little higher vibration. F was for fear. Fear's higher vibration than anger or greed. Fear, L. L is lust. Lust is actually a moving vibration, creative vibration. Ag flap, lust. A is, what is that? No, A is A is anger. The second highest vibration is anger. You know, when you finally learn the truth, you get really pissed off. But ag flap, the last one, P, was for pride. Pride, spiritual pride. So the last thing you go through is egoic pride, spiritual ego. Before you merge back into play, you know you're no better than any other soul, but it's an experience. It's not something you read in a book or your master told you. Come on, B, let's go. And then you don't mind cleaning people's shitty diapers in hospice and see it as a holy act, but you don't do it to look good. You know, you can do all that with the intention of, oh, this will get me to heaven. That's not it. Or this makes me humble. That's not it. If you have any agenda with it, it's still pride or, you know, tit for tat or trying to make a deal with the universe, which I suggest, I don't know. Ultimately, it seems like the universe, ooh, look at the sun set a little bit here today. We had some fun clouds. So spiritual ego, make a friend of it. Be through the observance. I'm observing my holy day all day long, all the time. Continuous observer, whether you're alive, dead, dreaming, awake, or asleep, you're always observer. It's not work. Being present is no work. It's just that you don't go unconscious, you don't sedate yourself. And you watch your fear, you watch your paranoia, you watch your greed, you watch your enviousness. You watch your pride. And you don't judge yourself, but you notice it. You're the observer. So, anyway, spiritual ego is going to be one of the last things often we go through. And the universe will devise various ways. Come on, Miles. Of testing you. It's actually you testing yourself. I mean, if you're on the path of waking up. If not, you're going to go, hey, I'm fine. I don't need to look at any of that. I'm good. Hi, Miles. Here's Miley. Mama Miley. What you doing? She barked at me and said, let me out. I just walked her up on the hill. Much love. Webcasts are doing great. I'm actually really enjoying them. Just did one yesterday. Just go to tobiaslars.com if you're interested in the webcast. They're very different. This last time we went into this whole thing about men and women and the female and the male and the battle of the sexes and whatever shows up in the moment. There's usually energy work. There's usually entering into 0 point, and there's usually some fun and laughter, whatever spirit directs depending on who's present. You can be totally incognito on the webcast, or you can come on screen if you want to and ask a question, or you can just ask a question in the chat, whatever you want. Much love. I recommend theinnerbodyawakening.com as the first step. After that, alchemyenergyprocess.com, and then theheartenergy.com. Those are the processes that I use, mostly the inner body lately, because I'm rebuilding my body after 50 ayahuasca ceremonies in pretty quick succession. Triggered some ancient shit that I needed to clean out, and I don't recommend it. But it was perfect for what I needed, for a good knock on the side of my head to wake me up to another thing. Much love. Mo later. Bye.